So weight shift and the timing of the transition from the weight in backswing to downswing is massively misunderstood in the golf swing. If we go back to the old way of teaching, I can remember being taught as a junior, the idea of you sort of load up your back foot at the top of your swing, so you're sort of about 80% on your back foot, and then the pressure shift works through onto the front foot with the club. As the club comes through, the weight's transferring onto the front foot. When we start measuring on the dual motion plates here at JD Golf Academy, we can start to see that's actually not a very efficient way to swing it at all. In fact, if anything, it's the total opposite. It's very damaging. Can lead to poor strikes, miscontrolling low point, face control. There's a lot of things that can go wrong through a sort of rushed transition into the downswing. What we'd actually want to see is we would want to see people get onto their lead side a lot earlier. And I see so many people who struggle with this, who, because they've had it drilled into them so much, massively on their back foot at the top of their swing. So I've got a live view here of my pressure, my weight on swing catalyst here. So what we would actually want to see is we would want to see that weight transition and go over into the back foot. As you can see there, I'm sitting at sort of between 70 and 80% pressure on my back foot. And we'd want to see us hit that number. However, from there, you can see my hands here haven't really gone past sort of waist height. From here, we then want to start to see, as we're completing the rest of our backswing, we'd want to see that drift over into our front foot. So you can see here at the top of my swing, I'm actually the other way. I'm sort of 70% on my front foot. Numbers-wise is something that's related more to the individual, depending on what your dominant leg is, what you're trying to work on in your swing. However, the sort of the skeleton of that is always the same in the best players in the world, in that they will get over onto the trail side very, very early, and then transition onto the front foot before the backswing's been completed. What we can then see is if I'm transitioning over nice and early so that I'm actually lead side dominant at the top of my swing, is from here it makes it so much easier for me to time my low point, okay? I'm always going to be striking the ground after the ball. We see a lot of people who are over on their back foot and they sort of try and slide towards the ball and they get into this horrible sort of collapse position at impact, flipping the handle, lots of weird things down at impact to try and sort of save the strike, which, as we all know, is never ever going to be consistent. If we're trying to get that consistency, as we all are in our golf swings, we've got to try and be over on the back foot nice and early, transitioning onto the front foot before the backswing's completed. And then from there, it makes it so much easier for us to time our strike. So a really good drill, if you want to feel this, and that's sort of getting back onto the lead side before the backswing, or not even necessarily back onto the lead side. As I sort of touched on before there, it's so personal to every individual. Some people who are more sort of rear side dominant would only want to be sort of drifting back to 50-50 pressure-wise. Some people who are more left side dominant would want to go more than that. However, as we said, the skeleton's always drifting towards target. So what we'd want to see here, a really good way to feel this, is to sort of get into your posture with the club across your chest, and then move your left foot to where your right foot is, so you're stood together, and then just make a backswing turn. And as you make that turn, just step forward with the front foot. And that gives you that feeling of being able to turn the body one way and have the pressure work in the other. Because it's very sort of counterintuitive and it can be quite hard to feel into sequence. But that's a great way of forcing the pressure onto the lead side and turning all at the same time.